'92 when you arrived, like since the first record, like I said, you had such a unique and brand new and fresh style, and so which was such a departure from the '80s, kind of style. So how do you?
How did that happen? Well, I began, like everybody does when you're a guitar player. You want to emulate your heroes. And so my heroes, like you said, were Randy Rhoads, Eddie Van Halen, Yngwie Malmsteen, Steve Vai, people like that. So I was practicing, 2, 4, 6, 8 hours a day, every day, without fail, that kind of playing. I started playing late. I started playing when I was 17 years old, so I thought that I had a lot of catching up to do. So I was very committed and dedicated to the instrument and improving my technique, which seemed like it was very far behind where my guitar heroes had been at 17 years old. So I amassed a tremendous amount of technique in a pretty short amount of time, but I was not an original sounding player. I was unable to compose music that I liked. I was able to shred and I was able to jam over, from classical music to jazz music, was able to blow on top of it, but I wasn't writing the music that I liked, and I didn't have my own voice instrument. There was a moment in the very early days of Rage Against the Machine where it was clear to me that I was the DJ in the band, and that we were influenced by, from Public Enemy to Run DMC to Dr. Dre to even groups like Crystal Method, and I started concentrating on the eccentricities in my playing, the weird stuff that was just like the toggle switch was something I did as like a little trick, and I thought, well, what if I practice that 8 hours a day? What kind of music might I make? And then just also the Digitech whammy pedal came out then, and I was a big fan of Alan Holdsworth, and he used like a harmonizer on the song Metal Fatigue, and so I bought some harmonizer rack gear. I didn't even know how to set it up, but now I said, oh, there's a harmonizer and a pedal, and then it opened up vast worlds of being able to sort of emulate DJ sounds. And that's where, once I took the blinders off of the traditional guitar playing, I was like, oh, there's really no ceiling to what this could be. And I just started practicing odd noises and making them into songs.
Okay, cool. And you mentioned the whammy, and that was the thing, I think before, but I was young at the time, but before, like, Getting in the Name, when I heard the single The Rio, I never heard the whammy before, and I was like, I'm not even sure when this pedal came out, but
I think 90 or 91. I mean, I bought it as soon as it came out. The reason was it just like I didn't have the patience or the technical ability to master rack-mounted gear, which was what was popular at the time. It was like everybody had these big racks of EQs and delays, and I just wanted pedals I could step on, and that was a simple pedal that you could step on, but it had a world of sounds at your fingertips.
Okay. And we mentioned like the whammy at the beginning, like there was also some other like a lot of weird noise, like on Balls on Parade when you do turntables. With sector. On this new one, like on the Prophets of Rage record, there's like this chicken sound,
Strength in Numbers.
So how did you come up with that?
Well, we were practicing that song in rehearsal, and it's really just the first thing that I played, and everybody was kind of laughing because I was walking around, making sort of chicken wings with it. It's just it's really just the whammy pedal. It's set to an octave down, but then depressed, and then I'm just going chicka, and then bending the string, and it just sounded like a chicken.
It does.
I have a long history of making barnyard animal noise. There's cows on records, there's chickens on records, there's wild animals on records.
That's great. That's great though. Like, and you went like the song just before, like, which was really funky. Like, I think that's one of the funkier stuff.
Oh yeah. Like, sure. Is it Take Me Higher?
Yeah. Because you venture on this record, like, I think this record is even more like maybe hip hop and funkies and Rage was.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, like, from all those, I've been playing guitar for a long time now, and different. When I play with Rage Against the Machine, it brings one thing out of me. With Audioslave, it brings something else. With Prophets of Rage, something else too. And it's really, there's a lot of sort of freedom to explore and create and expand. I wanted to make a record that had a lot of guitar playing on it, had a lot of like interesting guitar playing. Didn't want to repeat myself with things I'd done. It's very important though to have like sort of the big riffs. Like that's a main sort of lifeline of, especially when Tim and Brad and I play together, to have those big blockbuster riffs, but also to have different colors and flavors as well.
Yeah, you mentioned Audioslave, and like the songwriting was different in that band. There was still the core sound of the three guys, you know. But I'm sure working with the great Chris Cornell, like Chris is a tremendous singer, obviously, was like a really great songwriter too.
Sure. Well, no, what Chris was very. Open at the beginning, like I think he had to shoulder a great deal of the songwriting in Soundgarden, and he wanted to just be a singer, and he wanted to like have. So it was great for us because it challenged us in a way to make music that responded to his great voice and harmonically and chordally to step out of our safety zone. So it really helped us as musicians too to expand.
And can you remind, like, for like the readers who don't know, like the story of Arm the Armless? Because that guitar got a real story. Like.
Sure. So when I moved to Los Angeles in 1986 and got a job working for a United States senator, first time in my life I had a paycheck, and I was like, well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a custom-made guitar with my money. So I went down to this place in Hollywood that was known for making guitars for shredders, but the problem was I didn't, like, you get to decide what wood it is, decide what the neck is, decide what the frets are. I didn't know anything. I had no idea. I was not a luthier. I didn't have any taste. I just sort of checked random boxes and drew some hippos on it or had them paint some hippos on it to my design. And it was the worst guitar that it was expensive and horrible. Everything, it sounded bad, played bad, felt bad, everything about it. So through the years, I disassembled it and kept trying different necks, different pickups, different electronics. So in the Arm the Homeless guitar, the only thing that remains from that original guitar is the piece of wood that is that guitar.
Body,
is the body. It's just the body. And I finally decided, like I was so frustrated with my guitar sound, I spent one day with my amp, the same amp that's here and the same guitar. This is 30 years ago. I was very frustrated with my guitar sound, so I sat there for about 3 hours in the rehearsal room one day, and I got it as good as I could get it. I marked the settings on the amp, and I just said, I'm never going to think about my sound again. I'm just going to use this sound and begin being creative with it. And that was very liberating, because it's like I'm no longer trying to fix this guitar. I'm not trying to buy an amp that sounds more like Nuno Betancourt or something. I'm just going to use this, and it was. Then I all of a sudden started writing songs that responded to those tones. So the neck guitar, which had the hippos on it, was an early Rage Against the Machine show. We were playing at the Whiskey, and it might have been our 7th show. 10th, 11th show, something like that. And I just was sitting in my apartment, and with a Sharpie, I just wrote "Arm the Homeless" on it, and it's been on there since that. It was kind of it was actually inspired by the the French Situationists and the 1968. That's the kind of slogan that I had in mind when I wrote that on the guitar.
Okay. And so the body was. Do you remember what wood was the body?
I don't even remember.
But the neck came from
the neck. The neck. Yeah, it was. I had a number of bad necks on it, but the one that finally stuck, it was in a bin. It was like a discount bin at a guitar store. It was It's not any particular model. There was no. It's like a Kramer knockoff.
Yeah,
it's not a Kramer.
Looks like a Kramer.
Yeah, it looks like a Kramer, but it's not a Kramer. Okay. And they just had these bin. And I just said, let's try that one, and that's the one that finally stuck.
Okay, and that's how pickups you on. EMG, right?
EMGs, yeah. And the front one is
like the 81 or?
You know what? I'm not sure. But Slim can tell, my guitar tech. He's here. He can tell you. But the front one is it's single coil disguised as a double coil. So that's one of the keys to the sound of Rage, Audioslave, and Prophets of Rage is a lot of those big riffs are not played with a very metal sound. They're played with kind of like a Zeppelin single coil sound, which a double track like this. Then Timmy's big bass sound is in the middle, and it makes it sound huge in a way that. A lot of records that try to sound, a lot of people that write riffs that try to sound heavy think, well, I just have to. It's a heavy guitar sound that's going to do it. That's not it. It's in the right hand, and it's in the it's in the people you're playing with.
Yeah, and you get like an open sound and breathe.
That's right.
And stuff like
That's
it's
right.
different,
That's
more
right.
organic, stuff like that. So, it's single coil like on this because this guitar look like humbuckers,
Yeah. It's single coil on the front and double coil on the back for the screaming solos and whatnot. Yeah.
But you play a lot on the necks, the big.
Yeah, a lot. All the riffs are played on the neck.
And the amp like you've been using like I've seen it.
Same,
The same like
Marshall 2205 channel switching. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I found a sound that I could then make music with, and that's the key thing. Is to me, like, the sound doesn't matter if it's not a sound that you can make
you can use
compelling music with. Yeah. So.
Okay. And about the effects. So we talk about the whammy.
Yeah.
And do you use anything else? I guess.
It's like there's a phase 90, sort of the phase 90, which is used very, very rarely. An EQ pedal, which I just use, I think it's a DoD EQ, which I only use for boost. It's just like for playing solos, so that you never want to have to count on the front of house sound man to raise the solo. I remember I use that in clubs because you'd be playing. I'd be on tour with and you'd be playing club shows, and the sound man would never know when the solo was going to come, so nobody would hear. So I just said, I'm going to take that into my own hands. I just like step on that thing, and nobody's going to miss it.
It was the mids, I guess.
Yeah, it's flat and up.
Just
flat and up. It's just a boost, a straight boost. Then there's then the whammy pedal. Then there's the delay pedal, which is kind of gives me kind of the David Gilmour atmospheric soloing abilities, and Crybaby Wah and the Digitech whammy pedal.
Okay. And still using like those old PV cabs.
It's the one PV cab. It's not. It's the one that from back in the day is still there.